All right. Good morning and happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the HMG Weekly Wrap Up. I almost started this show off like I do my regular podcast. Wow, that's ah goodness. How's everybody doing? Happy Friday. Sit down, strap in, and get ready because this bird's about to take flight. And you're listening to your HMG Weekly Wrap Up. It's been a great week, a busy week. Hope everybody's had a wonderful week. Today, I want to recap a little bit from last week's Great American Outdoor Show, where we were up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit about the big game and some of the things that have happened this week because of it. MB Radio, thank you for joining us. Hope you guys are doing well. Appreciate you all. Everybody on the talk, good morning. How's everybody doing? And I got a very special guest that I'm about to bring on. She's no stranger to the network. She's actually part of the HMG family. So without further ado, and those of you on the talk, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to see her, but without further ado, Shay Sparks. Shay,
Hello. Good morning. Happy
hello.
Friday.
How are you?
I am with all things considered, I'm hanging in there. I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
Yeah.
So those of you again on TikTok, if you can't see, Shay Sparks is on the show with us. You can, if you go over to Facebook or YouTube Live, you can check it out. We're new to TikTok, so I apologize. We're still learning how to do this particular platform. So, Shay, how are you? Why don't you tell the viewers, because this is the first time I've done an HMG live like this with any family member of HMG. Last week I went live with my videographer Gabe up at the show, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But why don't you tell the viewers and listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Well, actually, I think we went live in Dallas a couple years. God, probably 3 years ago now. Uh, when we were at
Oh
Gallant
my
View.
god,
But we were sitting next
I
to each other, so
totally
this is
forgot about
totally
that.
different.
Yeah, holy
So this is
cow!
totally different. Yeah. So yeah, hi guys. I am Shay Sparks. I am the host of the Shay Sparks Show. I am the Chief Excitement Officer of Sparks of Fire International, where I spark leaders to find, share, and use their voice through coaching, podcasting, and publications so that they're fired up about their life and business. I help people go from fear to fired up. So, yeah, I'm excited to be here. Adam and I have been connected. Facebook just told me 4 years ago, which is like
Really?
insane. It's like, what?
Because we met.
2020 was 4 years ago?
Yeah,
How was
we
that?
met March of 2020 at Podfest in Orlando.
Yeah.
And why don't you go ahead and share the story, because you tend to share that story and you make it much more colorful than I do.
So Adam has shifted from what he looks like now in a suit to what he looked like then in 2020. And I say that because if you have ever seen someone who's in a suit in 1 minute and then jeans and a t-shirt in the next, you might understand that there might be a little uncomfortable, feeling a little choked, a little tight. And Adam was on a panel at Military Creator Con at Podfest in March of 2020.
Yeah.
And he was saying some really brilliant, amazing things. He was sharing his wisdom. And yet he had resting bee face the whole time.
I got
All the night.
resting bitch face. Those of you that can't hear it, Shay on the TikTok, she says I got resting bitch face. This is when we first met. So those of you on the talk, go to Facebook or YouTube. We're going live on the channels over there, and I'll put the video up here a little bit later. But I'm sorry, go on. Please continue with the resting bitch face.
And the resting bitch face. And what's so funny about that is then at the end of his panel, someone stood up and said, Adam Bird is the best editor ever. And I was like, well, I guess I got to talk to him now because that's why I'm here. I'm here to find an editor. And so then he gets off stage, he goes back to the room and he sits down and he's just sitting there kind of breathing. I think he might have loosened his tie a little bit. And he said, I said, hi, I'm me. So if you don't know me, I'm a little energetic. And I'm like, hi, I'm Shay. I would love to talk to you about editing. And
Right.
he's like, okay. And I'm like, here's my card. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, walk away. And I'm like, okay, that went well.
Yeah.
So, and then after that, that was just the first day, and then after that, we loosened up a little bit. He was no longer wearing a suit and tie. He was wearing, jeans and a t-shirt, and much more comfortable and in his element, and his glowing personality shined through. And it was like this, like we were laughing and having a great time, and we got into a deep conversation about purpose.
Yeah.
And if you know Adam, he's deeply rooted in his purpose and loves his family dearly. And as soon as that conversation, I was like, you know what? Yes, I know I'm supposed to work with this man. And so it's become more than just working. It's a family. And I'm just honored to be here today and to be part of Heroes Media Group, and just knowing that all the things that we've been creating behind the scenes,
Yeah.
it's just going to be amazing this year.
Yeah. And it's been a lot of we tend to get very impatient. Ken, good morning, brother. How are you? Appreciate you. Thanks, David. It's been I don't want to say a labor of love, but it doesn't feel like work when you love what you do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
I'm very I don't take it for granted. I'm very blessed that I get the opportunity to do this. And had you asked me a decade ago if I saw myself doing this, I would have laughed at you. I've said that before.
Mm-mm.
I'll always say that. It's being in front of people, and somebody recently said, "Oh, you're a subject matter expert in this," and I don't like to think that at all, and I don't certainly think of myself as an expert. An expert, you have to have 10,000. They say you have 10,000 hours plus.
Mhm.
I certainly have far exceeded that, but I don't like to say I'm an expert in anything, because I feel like once you feel like you've hit that status, and you stop learning and you think you know everything. And I've certainly,
Mm.
we're in this type of work, and in this business, things change so rapidly, and that's the cool thing about it. So anyway, yes, resting bitch face. We've been friends for 4 years. It's been great. I absolutely love her to death, because um Shay is like, when we have conversations, one of us will call the other person for a purpose,
Yeah.
and not hit that purpose for 30, 45 minutes. We'll just
After the laughing
on
stops.
just random stuff.
Yeah.
And then it's like, "Oh, why'd you call?" Or, "Why did I call?" And I was like, oh yeah, I gotta talk to you about this." It's like, so it's always fun, and it's great to be surrounded by people like that kind of take you away from the everyday stresses, and just make you laugh and have a good time. And so from the bottom of my heart, Shay, thank you very much for being
Mm.
not
Thank you.
only a sister and a good friend, but part of the HMG family.
Well, thank you. I feel the same. It's always a joy to be like, how can I answer the phone to make him laugh the most?
It gets to a point where I almost feel like sometimes we get into a competition, like, what are we going to do to make the other person break character
Exactly.
first, So what do we have here? David Willis. David's such a good dude. And Ken's on from Arizona. David's in Kentucky. Love you guys. Appreciate you jumping on. We got a bunch of people on the talk. Thank you very much, all you out there in the old. Thank you, everybody from the old interweb lands that's out there jumping on. Listen, I want to talk a little bit about last week. Last
Mm.
week, those of you saw the show, I was at the NRA's Great American Outdoor Show. It is every outdoor enthusiast's wet dream. I swear to God, this thing is amazing. Go.
So I'm curious, what did you bring home?
I purposely left it out of my office so I wouldn't just keep doing a show and tell. So,
Okay.
but I will share. My wife got a laser training system so she can shoot in the house, not like shoot, but practice. It's a laser, like draw and stuff like
Okay.
this. It tells you. And here's the thing: when it comes to shooting, there's one person I call first and foremost about anything related to shooting, and that's Glenn Stilson from the Arms Room show, who's on the net. It's one of the HMG's OG shows. Glenn and I have been friends for a very long time. He owns a company called Independence Training down in AZ, and they travel all over the country training people. And it's not just firearm stuff they train. They train on, like, dirt medicine, what we call dirt medicine, how to be prepared and stuff like that. So I texted him. I said, "Hey, would this be a good thing for now, because we don't get a chance to go to the range and stuff like that very much." And he was just like, "Yeah, it's good if you want to practice X, Y, and Z." And that's what she needed. So she got that. That was her Valentine's Day gift
Nice.
from me. And then,
Nothing says love but a laser for your gun.
yeah,
I
yeah,
love
like, teach her how to, yeah, I'm teaching her how to shoot. Maybe I should have thought about this beforehand, but I'm not in the doghouse right now, so things are good. What else? We have HMG's got a new sponsor that's coming on board in April. Digital Trigger. They've been on the platform in the past, and they're coming back, so we're excited to have them with us. And then we've had the big thing for me about this show is I get to go around. We have some network sponsors at the show. We have Forget Genetics, which is a veteran-owned company. We have uh, Jim Neary's Live Bait and Tackle, and Warriors on the Water Ltd. Jim and Gina run both of those companies. One's a nonprofit, one's a for-profit company. Great people. They've been friends of mine for a long time, and I got to interview them, like, and just kind of see them in their element once a year, with seeing what they're doing and whatnot, how the year's been going. And then I got to meet a bunch of new veteran-owned companies. I'm going to give them shout outs real quick. I wasn't planning on it, but I'm going to. Life Skills USA. A little sticker right there. If you guys could, there we go. See that? Boom. And these guys here, this is run by a Marine recon Raider veteran. He's a Marine Raider, and he teaches kids, like, outdoor stuff. He takes the kids outdoors, teach them, like, camping skills, hunting skills, and stuff like that. Another really cool company that I ran into was Lift, Hunt, Eat. And this guy here it's a community of guys that hunt, lift, and eat.
Mm.
And it was just really cool running into those guys. And then who's the other one? Oh, Fish or Die. Really cool organization. He's a got out of the Army veteran, current law enforcement, and now but he also makes uh fishing tackle, fishing bait and stuff. So it was really cool just seeing all of that. And then they do all of these really cool things. Um they had dog jumping off the docks, like,
Mm.
you throw off the docks and the dogs jump into the water. They had lumberjack competition, which, I always love, because I'm big redneck at heart. Uh,
Clearly, you're a lumberjack.
yeah, right? I
Paul
was like,
Bunyan,
yeah,
right?
Paul
Country.
Bunyan. I got my chainsaw and my axe downstairs. I'm ready to
You
roll.
got the beard going, so
Yeah,
there you go. Yeah,
it's there, and I wear flannel, so it's, yeah,
it's a given.
it's part of the outfit. Just go with it, right? Um, Tony, happy Friday to you, brother. Appreciate you. Uh, what else? Food's always good. Oh, and then Friday night, uh, spent a little time with a gentleman by the name of former President Donald J. Trump. He came into the NRA and gave a speech. And prior to him taking the stage, the War Hippies, which is a group, Scotty Brown, Marine Corps veteran, and then the other gentleman who played the fiddle was an Army veteran, but the group's called the War Hippies, and they got the crowd going. And that's a really cool group. I had never heard of them, and it was the first time seeing them. So it was a good time. World's largest outdoor expo. If you're into hunting, fishing, they have something for you there. Or camping, anything outdoor. If you're an outdoor enthusiast, it's a show that you want to go to. Enough about that. Had a great time. I loved it. But it's definitely good that it's going to be another year before it's around. So, because I literally spent 6 of the 9 days up there filming, doing interviews, and filling my tackle box with new toys.
Some people fill their soul with things, and I just feel to get filled up and renewed and rejuvenated. And I feel like you do that with toys to play outside.
Yeah. Here's the funny thing about that. So there's some truth to that, right? Because
Mhm.
I'm an outdoors guy at heart. I hunt, I fish, um, I garden. We grow a lot of my own food and stuff like that. It. I love what we do here. I love it. Wouldn't change what we do for the world. I wouldn't. Um, but even this takes its toll, the everyday stress on it. So you need that, they say
Mhm.
it's healthy for your mental health. You need to pull away. And what is it that allows you to kind of reset? Or a friend that you'd introduced me to once said, "Hey, go fill your cup, because if
Yeah.
your cup isn't full, then you can't help other people." And that really hit me hard. And this was
Mhm.
back in end of October when he said this to me. Um, so when I go outside and when I'm in the woods, or if I'm on the shore fishing or whatnot, it's me resetting, and I'm constantly
Mhm.
busy. Like I'm on the road or on an airplane every month from now until the end of September. That's what this year has got planned for me. I'm on the road every month this year again. And last year was a little quieter, but this year is like full force. We're going full bore. Um, and with that said, there's a few things that are coming up. So, uh, CPAC next week, DC, February 21st through the 24th. We're going to be down there. Uh, Walking around, you'll see us in CPAC. There's a couple things I want to check out. They always do a breakout session on China, which we'll get in. There's actually some of the headlines. I want to talk about that here in a little bit. So if you're in the DC area, you plan on being in CPAC, just check that out. Hit us up. Let me know that you're going to be around. Love to meet up with you. Label 22 party, February 29th in Nashville, Tennessee, one of my favorite towns in the old US of A. Gonna dust off the cowboy boots, and go on down there for Label 22 as party, and that's to raise money for Canine Heroes. Jason Johnson's done a fantastic job with that organization there. Label 22, my buddy Steven Cochran, country music artist, who is this is his company, or he's part of the owner of this company. So we're going to try to be down there on the 29th to take part of that and support that. So that's what we have in the immediate future. And then March, I will be in Arizona for a week, and we'll be doing some stuff down there. And then April, we'll be turning around, going back to Arizona for the NCAA Final Four. So geared up. It's college basketball season. We got stuff going on, and we got people around the country right now covering college basketball. So I want to thank those. They will see this during the week, throughout the weekend. So thank you guys that are getting that content and bringing it to the network. So thank you. I want to move on here. I got some. So Shay, some of the things that I like to do, and I know you've seen the show, but what I like to do now is I like to take some of the things that have happened over the last week in
Mm.
the headlines and kind of cover that. And one of the things is last Sunday the big game
Yeah.
happened, right? And I'm sure you were pretty excited because you're a big Kansas City fans, Chiefs fan, and you're not quiet about that part of it. Uh, make it well known to everybody that you're a Chiefs fan. Um, and it was a pretty good win. It was an interesting game to watch, but I think what has happened since, um,
Mm.
oh, I guess Ken says, "Let me know when you're down," because Ken's in Arizona. We served together. Great guy. He's gonna let me buy him lunch. That's awful nice of you, Ken. Thank you. And I make sure I will let you know. um, in light of after the big game, the team that wins usually throws a parade of sorts. And unfortunately, this year, there was a tragic incident that happened in Kansas City, which left, one report. The report's been different numbers, but it left 21 injured, one dead, and I believe the young lady was a local radio DJ, and out of those, there were 11 of them were children that were injured, and the age range, different reports from different news articles, but the age range was between 8 and 47, according to the police chief. Uh, there now, Shay, I bring this up because you're pretty familiar with the Kansas City area.
Yeah, so I used to live there, and I'm a huge Kansas City fan when they're winning, uh, because I was in the years where they weren't winning, and it was tough. Even though I watch, it's tough. So speaking of fill your cup, I mean, watching football was definitely when they're winning was filling my cup. Um, and before I talk about what happened on Wednesday,
Yeah,
since this show is about heroes, I want to give a shout out, if
yeah,
I may,
please.
to the two heroes that tackled the shooter.
Mm,
Their
nice.
names are Trey Filter and Paul Contreras, and they were from Omaha, from what I understand. And there were also three Chiefs players, and I do not have their names, that actually went out into the crowd
Yeah,
and was hugging and comforting children. And one gave away his like wrestling looking type Kansas City Chiefs
belt.
belt.
Yeah.
So I just want to, honor them before we get into the unspeakable
What'd you say the
things.
names were? So the those of you on TikTok that are watching right now, we're honoring the two gentlemen that tackled the shooter in Kansas City, and that was who Trey and
Trey Filter
Trey Filter
and Paul Contreras.
and Paul Contreras.
And I believe they were from the Omaha, Nebraska
Oh,
area.
okay, very nice, nice,
Yeah.
great.
And
Great. I
uh,
saw the video of it, and it was just like, wow, those are.
yeah,
I mean, that's a ballsy move, and it's nice. Here's the thing about that tragic situation. However, it's good to know that there are good people out there that are willing to step up and stop something from happening. They weren't law enforcement guys. They were in
right.
regular clothes. They came in and they decided to stop something bad from happening, making a situation worse.
And I'll say this, so Kansas City is a big city with a small town feel to it. It has, and it has a big heart.
Yeah,
So so I have tons of family and friends there still, and because I used to live there for most of my adult life and just moved away 2 years ago. So had I been living there, I would have been at the parade,
right.
which is just devastating and heartbreaking in itself to think about, and not to mention all the people that were affected and the traumatized and the children that were just it's brutal.
Do they do the parade in the same route every?
Every year. So it starts in downtown
Yeah,
and it goes down to Union Station. So it's always the same route. And it's like I would say probably 50 person deep. I mean, that's how many people are there. So you're standing on the sidewalk and then 50 people back at least. And unless you're in the certain areas where there's risers, you're not going to be able to see
oh wow,
really anything. And so what ends up happening, the reason why the guys are up on like the double decker buses and things like that is so that people are above the crowd so that you can see. My the first year, which was what, 4 years ago
yeah.
when they won, I was in a parking garage and on the third level. So I was actually looking down on them. And then halfway down, they get out of the vehicle and they start walking the rest of the parade route until they get back on and enter into Union Station. And from the footage that I've seen from people who were there who posted stuff, I mean, they were dancing, they were singing, they're having a good time. They're interacting with the crowd. Donna Kelsey, Travis Kelsey's mom, even though she's not a player, she was out there handing out roses because it being Valentine's Day to people. I know a lot of other people, the players, were handing out roses. And it's just really a huge, not just celebration, but it's really about the community of Kansas City coming together in love and unity.
Yeah.
And the first year was incredible to really, I'm going to get choked up just talking about it, that the schools all canceled so that the kids could go.
Yeah.
which was it's just so, like, beautiful of a touching moment to really rally around the community. And from what I understand, they've continued to make that kind of a thing, is to be on standby that some schools, I don't know if all of them do now, but some schools will cancel so that they can go
Watch
and
them.
enjoy and be in the camaraderie and the love.
That's pretty cool. I love Kansas City. It's a great town. Great town.
Yeah, and, the footage, I have to say this, the footage that I watched on the 2 gentlemen who tackled the guys, I just literally 2 blocks from where this parade was, I took Krav Maga, which is, it is hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
I trained that for a year, and so to watch
In
them
Haley, if I'm not
use this was like, this is why we train like we trained.
and that's a good reminder for everybody,
Yeah,
you should be training in some form or fashion, whether it's shooting, hand-to-hand stuff, and if you're not comfortable shooting, then go train some type of combatives hand-to-hand. Take a class, learn. It's great. I did it for years. Um, I would like to get back into it myself personally, learn something new. Never stop learning. That's David Willis said that earlier, and that's so
yeah,
true. But our condolences to the families,
yes,
and we hope everybody else comes out okay. And a big shout out to the two that tackled that POS, that decided to
yeah.
do such a horrible act. So
And I wanna shout out to those Chiefs players, and I've been listening to stories and watching stories and reading stories, how the community, again, we just rally together,
yeah,
take food to the first responders and the police and the newscasters that were still down there
yeah,
for most of the day. Like, they would really they just supported people, and, I feel like that's really what Kansas City is about, and I feel like that's really what our country
yep,
is about supporting each other. So I love to see that unfortunate after an unfortunate tragedy like that.
yeah. And it excuse me, it is unfortunate that it takes a tragedy for people to come together,
Yeah,
um, like that.
yeah,
Um, all right, we're gonna move on to the next. We
yes.
got a couple of topics here that we gotta cover. I purposely did not send these to you because I want to just get your response to these,
Okay.
and then we'll go from there. So the first one, all right, everybody, we're gonna cover some of the news topics that I found interesting in this week's headlines. Lance Henderson, it's about time you get here, you slacker. Anyway, ma- major credit card companies to start tracking gun purchases in California. What are your thoughts on that headline?
Oh god, what are my thoughts? Well, first of all, I was just watching a movie, where, in it whether it was based on a true story or not, I don't know, but or how accurate it was, but I thought it was really fascinating. It was about Native Americans, and they were going into the bank, and they needed uh, a host or a guide or a person that was assigned to them to be
Yeah,
with them to take money out of the bank.
yeah,
And I thought, man, the government has been tracking us forever. So when I
oh,
hear
yeah,
this,
yeah.
right, it's like, what more? I mean, just
It,
move in.
yeah,
Just like, when is enough going to be enough?
it it's not, but it's funny that you say that because I was taking a different twist on this.
Yeah.
Along the same lines, we're getting bombarded. I don't know if you can see the comments, Shay.
Yeah.
Barry, good morning. Barry's one of our sponsors. Forget Genetics. Make sure you check him out. Gabriel Wren, Gabe's been pushing this new show called Veterans in the Mist. It it I'll
Like
let
gorillas in the mist, but just
it
veterans.
but it's so not that. It is so not that. I feel dirty just even
Oh,
saying it. No, basically two veterans in a shower. You just see their feet and you hear them talking.
what? Only if they got pedicures. I mean, if they got some gnarly feet, that's gonna be awful to watch. I'm just
Yeah,
saying. Yeah.
that's yeah. Anyway, Back to the credit card. I think, we all know the government, there's no privacy or privacy or whatever you want to call it anymore in the world. We all have these smartphones and whatnot. There's tracking systems everywhere. Um, it the, it doesn't surprise me that they're doing this. But here's the thing that really irked me about this particular article was the new merchant code would allegedly be used to comply with the California law that will allow banks to potentially track suspicious gun purchases and report them to law enforcement.
Well, what makes it suspicious?
Right. And
I
like,
mean,
how about we like, oh, well, he used his credit card on the black market to purchase X, Y, and Z.
right,
Oh, so that's suspicious. But forget the, you know, uh, mother of three that wants to protect herself and her house, and she purchased. Oh, that's a red flag. Why is a mother of three buying a firearm with her credit card?
right.
And granted, this is California, which I should have stressed
Mm,
California,
yes,
and probably not a surprise to many people that are watching and listening to this. It but this is how it starts. And so anyway, know what it if you're in California, sorry, I don't know what to tell you. Like, leave. If it's not what you I love going to California. I think food's great out there. 3 days is my max though. Like, California, you'll get me for 3 days and then I'm out. Sorry. Anyway, so I thought that was interesting. Uh Tracking gun purchases because they've got nothing better to do.
right.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah,
Sticking with like surveillance and conspiracy theory, just because I'm in one of those moods today. House
great.
Republicans urge GOP to protect constitutional rights as Congress considers reauthorizing government surveillance program. Now you say to yourself, what does this mean?
Yeah,
Um, This isn't new. This is actually from Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, and what they're trying to do here. This all started years and years ago, and I remember seeing an article that was post dated 2012 on this. But really, what if you're not familiar with Section 702, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, or the FISA? It allows the U.S. government to spy on non-citizens in other countries, including communications with Americans, according to The Hill. This came out of The Hill. So let me read that part again in case you missed it. The U.S. government, it's allowing them to spy on non-citizens in other countries, including communications with Americans. Okay.
hmm, mhm.
Signatures then discussed a report detailing that the Department of Homeland Security and the Treasury Department bought American phone locations data without a court order. Uh, I, for one, am shocked that the US government would break a law that they created.
Shocked and awe.
Why? Yeah, and so here's what it is. You're paying taxes, and basically what they say is the government used the taxpayers' money to buy America's phone locations data without a court order. Now, do you think they're getting in trouble for this?
Probably not. And what was the word in the headline? Was it reinstate?
Reauthorizing.
Like, oh, okay, like it was ever not authorized to begin
Yeah.
with. Yeah,
There's certain things you got to sweep under the rugs.
yeah.
So let me go on here because these agencies would need a judge issued warrant before forcing phone or tech companies to turn over customers' location data. The letter also adds that But creative government lawyers have decided that the Fourth Amendment does not apply to Americans' sensitive personal data if the
Mm.
government buys it from data brokers. So the government can go and buy. We're online, and again, this is why there's no
Yeah.
privacy or anything like that. When you buy a cell phone and you look at something online, that's why you see, oh, I like this or I like that, and all of a sudden you're starting to see commercials for that shit.
Mhm.
It's stuff. Excuse me, PG show most of the time. You start seeing that stuff pop up on your screen and on your, whether it's on your computer or your cell phone or whatnot. They sell that information. That's how marketing works. These big marketing companies, I know because I did it back in 2011 with a marketing company. You would sell somebody's information. Somebody would fill out a card. They'd send it to you. I'm interested in this school here, and then you take
Mhm.
that and you sell it to 5 other schools at
Yeah.
nickels on the dollar or whatever to make your profit. It's just how it's done. Um, Stephen Williams, good morning, brother. How are you?
Good morning.
Um, that bothers me that they said the Fourth Amendment does not apply to Americans'
Mm.
sensitive personal data if the government buys the data from these data brokers. Continuing on with that, the threat of America's Second and Fourth Amendment rights is not limited to the government's purchase of location data. Commercial data brokers openly sell marketing lists containing names, address, other personal information, identifying gun owners and shooting fanatics, as well as specialized lists like concealed carry licensed gun owners,
Wow.
affluent gun owners, and people of the age of 70 plus gun owners. Unfortunately, the same legal loophole that the Biden administration has embraced to purchase Americans' location data could equally apply to the purchase of commercial lists identifying gun owners. Now, here's the thing about all of this right now that we're talking about. When you look up section 702 and you Google it, this is a newer article. This article came out 2 days ago. There was another article from MSN that wrote something about it like 5 days ago now. Otherwise, you don't see anything current on it. It's all old stuff. This stuff here, that this is new articles that are coming out. Mainstream media is not covering this. This is why I pulled this up. I pulled this article up for that reason.
Hmm.
And then I did some deep dive, made some phone calls down in DC, and yeah, they're talking about this stuff, but you're not going to hear about it. And why is that? Because they want to keep us in the dark.
Yep. Well, I'm gonna segue to that since you took a drink of coffee,
Yeah.
which goes to what we do as podcasters. We talked about this yesterday. We educate, we entertain, and we inspire. And so, at some point, the world media or the mainstream media will shift to us, right? To
Right.
shift our independent media, like what you're doing, because you're really talking about the things that need to be talked about, whether it's education, educating people, or you're inspiring them, or it's you're entertaining them in a way that's not gonna, make people want to go out and shoot up a crowd.
Right.
So,
Well,
yeah,
but it's how they perceive everything and what they
of
want you
course.
to believe. What do we have here? Ken, fire lost in a boating accident. That seems to be the thing. Yeah, mine did too. Unfortunately, tragic.
Mhm.
Stephen Williams, but I trust the mainstream media.
Okay.
Steve, we know you better than that, buddy.
Oh, that's so nice.
Oh God. Moving on. So that's the surveillance program, and it's funny at best. Mark Peterson, Patriot Pride. Thank you, sir, for jumping on as always from the People's Patriot Project. Would love them. Next up, next headline. We only got a couple headlines here. Two more left. Stay with us, folks. Republicans joined Democrats in approving a $95 billion foreign aid package, igniting controversy. That was one of the headlines. Another one was the government has lost their mind. 95 billion in foreign aid. I just made that up. I swear to God, I just made that up because that's how I feel.
Okay.
95 billion foreign aid package. Not
That wasn't made up.
That one is not made up. 95 billion in a foreign aid package. While most Americans were asleep, and this happened, what, 3 nights ago, a significant number of Senate Republicans joined forces with Democrats to approve a 95 billion foreign aid package without allocating a single cent to address the concerns at the southern border. This decision, highlighted by its passage, underscores a concerning basically, we're prioritizing overseas international interests over domestic interests. What say you?
Oh, I am a compassionate, supportive person. I just talked about that with the Kansas City. And on the other hand, I am why is it that our hands seem to be forced to always give to someone else outside of our community? And if we're focusing on our community, wouldn't that be within our country? And I don't understand why it's always one or the other. Why, when you say, "Oh, well, why don't you want to help other countries?" Oh, it's because you're not compassionate and you don't have empathy and you're cold-hearted. No, that's not it at all. Let's figure out us first. So it kind of goes back to the whole like self-care thing. You got to overflow from a full cup rather than an empty cup, right? We're not overflowing at all. So how can that happen? How can we overflow? How can we get filled up first so we can overflow?
Yeah,
That's my opinion. That's my 2 cents.
it's frustrating because you see, in the last couple of weeks, this has really been going on. All this money going to like support Ukraine and whatnot, and I have very close friends that are from Ukraine. Our neighbors are from Ukraine. I've chatted with their family members that are in Ukraine. They're not seeing the money. It's
Right.
going towards something else that we're not a part of.
We don't know.
We're not part of that club, right? And we all
Right.
know what club we're talking about. Let's be
Right.
honest. 95 billion in foreign aid. You got migrants coming in here into New York, which is our next one that we'll talk about here in a second. Flooding, Tucson, down in Tucson, and I'm when I'm down there, I'm going down to the border next month. That's part of the plan. We'll see if that happens or not. But they're giving them $5,000 in cash, and then there you go. Go on out, go where you go. We have homeless veterans out there. We have homeless, not just from the veteran side of it. Look, we have
Right.
homeless people that want to work. There's people out there that want to work. There's people that are working now that live in areas that have that rent due and stuff. They can't afford their rent, and they're not making enough money because their jobs aren't paying enough, or because everything inflation and whatnot. It blows my mind how much our government is against the people as opposed to being for the people.
For the
And
people.
again, listen, I'm going to say this right now. Don't take my word for this is just Adam's opinion. Okay? So you can get mad at me, whatever, or disagree with me, that's fine. Leave a comment. Let me know. Let's have a conversation about it. I don't think our government is for us anymore. And that's sad.
Yeah.
Speaking of migrants, I mentioned migrants. The last one, and then we're going to get into the shows here. New York City extends curfew to 20 migrant shelters due to violence.
Surprise, surprise. Really?
New York City has extended its curfew orders to 20 other additional migrant shelters as violence has increased across the city. No shit. Officials will impose a curfew set for 11 p.m., already enforced by 4 other shelters in the city. that's housing illegals. The curfew impacts about 3,600 migrants, with the largest of the emergency centers housing nearly 1,000 migrants in Long Island City, Queens. And this is according to the mayor's office. And the Associated Press brought this to light recently. 3,600 migrants. And they're getting money, cash. Off you go. Thanks for being here.
Why are they being treated like underage teenagers? Like, here's your, if you want the what is it called when you're a kid and they give you a allowance? If you want this allowance, then you got to stick by our rules, right? You stay under our roof, stick by our rules. Isn't that how it should go, right? Like, you got to be in here at 9 o'clock. Why is it 11 of all things?
Here's the thing. I want to get to the comments here real quick because there's a couple people that are saying some good stuff. Steve, the money goes to the military industrial complex where I'm going to put this up here. I can see this here. Deep state have gone to retire. You don't want to anger the deep state. Yep, that's true.
Yeah.
That is true. Here's another one from Ken. It isn't immigration, it's an invasion.
Mhm.
That there couldn't be a truer statement. And it's sad. Yeah, I mentioned earlier, New York City. There was a gentleman. There's a video going around social media about a gentleman who was on a bicycle who's yelling at a cop. He's like, "I work 40 plus hours a week. I have 2 jobs. I'm working full time, and I can't afford my rent, and I can't afford to live. And you guys are giving these migrants, they're illegals." And I don't listen. Let me be clear because I'm sounding a little bit incensed. Some of you are going to say, well, you sound insensitive to people. That's not. I don't have a problem with people coming to this country. I think one of the greatest things about our country is we're such a melting pot of it. But come here, dude. If I went to move somewhere else, I'd have to do it the right way. Do it the right
Right.
way. I'm asking.
Right.
It's like we set the rules, but then we don't play by them. So this gentleman in the video, he's yelling like, I'm busting my ass. I'm homeless and I work full time. Homeless, works full time. Can't afford his bills or anything like that because it's not right. What this country has become, and I've said this for the latter part of 7, 8 years now, we are turning into a third world country. And it's one of those where I've always kind of complained about how I haven't really manifested. This is one of those things where I don't think we'll ever turn into a third world country in a sense of how some of us veterans that have been overseas into third world countries have seen. But we're on that path right now, and it's quickly becoming a reality. Thoughts on any of this?
Yeah, actually. So what I find so fascinating is like what you just said about the whole, come in legally. If we went to another country, I have 2 scenarios. One friend is trying to go to England,
Yeah.
the UK, and he has to have a visa, so he can only be there for so long. And he's there to see his fiance, right?
Right.
Now, he can only be there for so long. He's doing it in a way that is legal. Why? Because that's who we are. That's how we think.
Yeah.
He's also a veteran, and there's, he wouldn't think about doing it illegally,
Right.
naturally, but he's doing it legally. So he's respecting that country's setup.
Right.
And what I find so fascinating is how many people forget that there is a legal setup to become a citizen here. For example, I have one friend right now, his husband, whether you agree with that or not, it's another thing, but his husband is trying to get here from Brazil, and he's been in Brazil. They've been doing this for 3 years, and they are being patient and
Right.
figuring it out, getting his visa, getting his paperwork, all of that. Another one, my cousin's, he married someone from the Philippines. He brought her over, went through the right proper. She became a citizen, U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
Her son, who was born in the Philippines, is now a dual citizen. He just became a citizen this week.
Oh, wow.
He is like 15 or 16.
Yeah.
So shout out to him that there are still people who are doing it the right way.
Yeah.
And I wish we would highlight that more and talk about how the process is, and maybe even make it easier, because then it's the right way and we're not looking at them as illegal immigrants coming and taking over.
No, I agree, because you start tying the two together. It was I'm not even gonna say what I thought there, but we're gonna go to a comment here.
Yeah.
Ken, Arizona, 75% of our trucking industry is ran by migrants. What's gonna happen when they stop driving? Oh my God.
Mm.
That is Can you imagine? Because we're already short truck drivers right now in this country. Can you imagine what that would be? I can't imagine. I can't even fathom what that would look like. Um, yeah, I don't even know what to say to that. It's we wouldn't have anything. That's what it would be. We wouldn't have anything. Foods, goods, and like I
Yeah.
said, there's already a shortage of truck drivers in this country right now. Um, I can't ship inventory from military base to military base because they can't get clearance. Jeez. Can you, I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that at all.
Well, let
We
me give a shout out to Anetta.
Yeah,
Thanks for watching, Anetta.
I work with a lot of vets. Wondering if I missed part of it.
Yeah, it's blocked off
Thank you.
my
All right. Yeah. So that's the headlines for this week. I can't. Yeah, it's the migrant thing. What are we gonna do? I don't know. I kind of like. I want to end this kind of like I say this kind of jokingly, but it's really serious. It's like, it's an election year.
Mm. Unfortunately, let me say to that,
It's
unfortunately, we don't have term limits.
yeah.
And so things that were like, oh, it's an election year, but things don't really get changed.
No.
It just gets
Do
handed
I
off
think do I think things will get
and
better?
bribed off. I mean,
I do think things are gonna get better. But here's the thing. We knew 5, 6 years ago that they were gonna get worse before they got better, and
right,
they have certainly gotten worse.
right.
Uh,
Yeah,
but that's the thing, and I'll end it with this, and let's get into the shows because we're coming up on time here already. My goodness. Um, this is why it's important to a few things. One, I've said that the lost art of critical thinking is something that we are dealing with in this country right now.
mm,
I will be the first to tell you I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that agree with that. Don't make a comment on that, please. Um, I jokingly said, I got through school like a D will get you a degree. That was my, you know, my that was my
D
mind.
stands for doctor. There you go.
I got it. I didn't get the doctorate. Yeah, but what do you call a doctor that got D's? Doctor. You know what I'm
Doctor.
saying? It's like let's use our heads. Start thinking for yourselves. And everything that we say on this show, don't take our word for it. Go out and research the stuff yourself as well. That's all I'm asking you guys to do. The other thing is start learning to be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And know where your food's coming from, the food source. We're gonna have AJ Richards on here in a couple of weeks. AJ's part of the he does a podcast, Feed the People, Buy the People. And you really need to uh, take a look at where your food sources are coming from, and then grow your own food if you can. Um, yeah, let's get into the shows. Let's get into the
Yeah.
shows. We're gonna start this off because Shay, I know if you want to stay with us through all of them, you're certainly
Sure.
welcome. But you are gonna kick us off. Let me before we get into this here. What do we got here? Yeah, I'm loving the comments, guys. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Shay, why don't you kick us off this week's show? Here's what you missed on the shows this week, and Shay's going to start us off with the Shay Sparks Show. Shay, take it away.
Dave Park Show. On the show this week is my friend Sarah Adini. I can't remember how to pronounce her last name. Adani.
Donnie.
And she is a mindset coach and just a beautiful, brilliant woman. And the thing I love about her journey is that she shares how she overcame being speechless. and she went on a journey living with monks. So it's really fascinating when we go back to that filling our cup first, what happens, how we can heal ourselves, and how we then can, it goes to a place of overflow.
I love it. Nice.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
episode.
Great story.
This is good. Hey, listen, those of you that are watching, you can find all of the shows on the network. Simply go to heroesmediagroup.com, click on the podcast, and you can see all the shows that are on the network right now. We got a couple of new comments coming in I want to touch on real quick. Rich LaMonica, part of another HMG family member. Too many humans not truly researching anything. Take the source media they listen to as gospel. Such a true statement.
Yes.
Such a true statement. Lift your head 3 inches and open your eyes. And that's so true. All you got at 3 inches. That's all it takes. Ken, I'm not repeating that one. All right. You got to love the crowd here that comes on and watches.
Absolutely.
The live. I absolutely love these guys. They're great. Next up, we got, let me see here. Where am I going here? I should do the banner here. What do we have? Feed the people, buy the people. This week, AJ, it's AJ Richards. He's a veteran, directly addresses some of the red flags being raised in the U.S. right now. Buckle up because it's a good episode. So check that out. That's Feed the People, Buy the People. What do we got next? We got Hero Academy. This with host Super Dave. Shay, you met Super Dave.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, I love that he's on here too.
Yeah. So
awesome.
This week, Veteran Voices, Stephen Leapley, on capturing experiences. Leapley highlights the cathartic nature of writing and the collaborative aspect of ghost writing, aiming to capture the author's voice and style. The conversation then touches on longevity, aging, and the importance of acknowledging others' contributions. Now, Shay, you've got some experience kind of in this realm as an author yourself, and you've kind of headed and put together and co-authored several books, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yeah, I have. We're looking for co-authors right now, actually, for the Firestarters book project. I'll just do a plug in here. Thank you. Yeah, we're looking for creative thought leaders who want to share their inspiring story about a theme. And last theme was how to be a spark of hope in the midst of change. And I had 2 Chief Master Sergeants from the Air Force and a Navy veteran, along with other podcasters and life coaches. And this book that we're looking for is how to rekindle your kindness, what the world needs now.
Oh, yeah.
And clearly, everything that we've been talking about, especially what happened this week, there's just a lot of kindness in the world that we don't talk about.
How can they reach out to you? Plug that real quick.
Yes.
Somebody's
watching. Please reach out to me. You can message me on Facebook, of course, but our website is firestartersbookproject.com. And if you want to, there's information on there. If you want to schedule an interview, an appointment with my business partner and I, we would love to chat with you about your idea for the chapter. And let's collaborate together, because it's just it's really, that's what it's about. It's really about collaborating together. Just like I was talking about the unity in the Kansas City area. We're in a unity in a book, and really being able to benefit each other with each other's network. So we'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
All right. Next up, we got
hey, Jerry's show.
I love Jerry. And this week it's funny because this week he's got John Mayo, who's also part of the network. It's funny when I do the show and I see when I'm doing the cover, I was like, wait a minute. The network is doing what it was meant to do and collaborating and working together as a family. I absolutely love it. The title this week, Sisu and Significance, Crafting a Life Worth Living. In pursuit of personal fulfillment and resilience, John Mayo champions the ethos of Sisu to create a life worth living as both a mantra and a guiding principle, right? This episode, you're going to learn harness the importance of relationships and influence for personal empowerment, unify all aspects of life to create a harmonious and impactful existence, prioritize personal development and discipline to achieve your full potential. I got to say this. One, I love Jerry, having him on the network. He puts on such a great show, and he's such a good host. And John, what can I not say about John Mayo?
Right.
John is such a beast.
Yeah.
And I chatted with him. We'll send text messages and whatnot. He's a very busy man lately, and he's got some new stuff coming out. He runs the John Mayo podcast, so shout out to John on that. But Jerry, John, great episode. It's Beyond the Rut. Go check it out.
Well, and I want to give a shout out. I love them both, and I'm so happy that they are part of our family because I knew them before you. And maybe I didn't, but I know. I think I did with John too. I know Jerry, I did.
You did.
But
You definitely you did, because I think you introduced me to, or I think this next show might.
yeah, but I love both of them, and they're fantastic hosts.
Yeah.
And fantastic people. So honored to call them family for sure.
Oh, they're great guys. Love them to death. All right, next up, this one, she never disappoints. Label 3 podcast. Deanna.
Deanna.
Yeah, she is amazing. This week, a journey to consciousness evolution, a deep dive into psychedelics and microdosing with special guest Paul Austin. This is such a hot topic over the last 2 years, psychedelics and microdosing. And I initially thought this was going to go towards the veteran side of it, but this is Paul Austin. He's an entrepreneur, author, coach who's very passionate about psychedelics for personal growth and transformation. He shares his personal journey about psychedelics, starting with his induction to cannabis at a young age, and then exploring psilocybin mushrooms and LSD. Now, here's the thing. Everybody's like, "Oh shit!"
But in small doses, that's why it's called micro doses, right?
And I have interviewed people on the Decision Hour podcast that, in fact, I did a series on psychedelics and microdosing. And when you talk to combat veterans, and I'm specifically using the veteran community right now, those particular interviews that I did, and some of them were from tier 1 operators and from all over the world, they shared that when they used it, changed their life. Usually you're gung ho and you're ready to kick indoors and do X, Y, and Z to, I don't feel like I need to do that anymore. I'm calm. Some of them have said that they're in the best place of their life that they've ever been. So there's something to be said about psychedelics in microdosing. I'm on the fence still, even with all of the stuff, because it's always oh yeah. But I know people that do it, and let me be clear on this. A lot of the people that do the psychedelics and the microdosing, it's under the people that I've interviewed and the people that I know personally that have done it or do it, they are under a microscope. They have somebody watching them. It's almost like a guided meditation, but they're being guided and being watched, and they're doing it in a very, very safe environment. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Well, and I want to add, if you don't mind, there's also very, very microdosing in some teas that you can buy off the shelf, and protein.
Yeah.
Like protein shakes that you can get. There's some mushrooms stuff that really will help. It's that calming effect.
Yeah. It's good stuff. All right, next up, what do we have? Other side of the firewall. This I love this show. This is a for all you IT people out there. I'm not an IT guy. I'm not. I've learned so much from this show. They do a show every day, Monday through Friday.
Wow.
Very consumable, about 12 to 20 minutes long. One of the topics this week was Chinese hackers gain foothold in U.S. infrastructure for 5 years.
Shocker.
There was an article, and this was an article that was done by NBC News that they're referring to. But the hackers spent 5 years waiting. It was like a sleeper cell. That's how when I hear that, that's how I think of it. It was a sleeper cell that came in. Now they're ready to attack agencies, or agencies say they're ready to attack the infrastructure. We've talked about the power grid and stuff like that in the past. This is one of those things that we need to pay attention to. And when I say we, not like hey, we'll just rely on the government
Right.
to do that. We as a people, as a whole, need to start paying attention to what's going on there. So, other side of the firewall, check it out. Excuse me. Next up, oh, we got a comment here. Just make sure I'm staying at top. Big believer in CBD. Like Ken said, CBD. I started using CBD, the with non THC in it, and it's
Mhm.
been amazing for arthritis. And the more doctors that are starting to prescribe or recommend getting that has been it's been amazing. CBD has been great for arthritis.
Mhm.
All right, next up we got
Tumors as well.
what's next? What do we have next? Ah, Misfit Nation. Rich was just on this week. So Rich does a couple of shows, live shows on their Facebook page, the Misfit Nation. I think one last night or the night before. Jonathan Green, best-selling author, renowned for his book Chat GPT Profits,
Mm.
commands a substantial mailing list of over 100,000 subscribers.
Wow.
He also has a podcast featuring 250 plus episodes, and he's been at the forefront of the online business landscape since 2010. Discover how Jonathan utilizes AI tools such as ChatGPT, Midjourney, Claude, and Leonardo to propel online businesses to new heights. This was a very interesting episode because I didn't know
Right.
all of these. I knew ChatGPT obviously, and I knew Leonardo, but I didn't know the other ones. And it was very informative and kind of a breath of fresh air. It's really interesting. So check it out, Misfit Nation. What do we got next? The pushing back chaos. This week, Mike went solo. I know it's a shocker. They actually let him off the leash. Mike went solo on this one to discuss the topic of grit, discussing frequently asked questions about what it is, how to identify it in ourselves and others, and some deep dives into some misinterpretations about grit in society. Great episode. This week, Mike did solo. So check that out, Pushing Back Chaos. All right, and I'll get back to the comments here, folks, in just a few. Let me get through some of these. Oh, because Bikers Matter podcast. Oh man, I love Vegas. Vegas is good dude. Dave Vegas. This week Vegas was in Vegas for the Super Bowl.
Mhm.
I meant the big game. Sorry, that's right.
Mhm.
For the big game. He was there for the big game. This week, Elena, the co-founder of High Viz Flag Company, does an interview at the South Hall of the Vegas Convention Center. Elena shares the origins of the company, which started in Oceanside, California, with the dream of expanding into the off-road industry, recognizing the gap between market flags, especially in the off-road industry. They wanted to make a statement and add more fun personality to the required flags on the vehicles in California. What they're talking about is like, if you ever go to California, been out to the dunes, you have to have the flags on the vehicles when you're with. So this is a
Mhm.
flag company that makes flags and stuff for that, and they're really cool. Great episode. Check it out, because Bikers Matter podcast. Oh, excuse me, I'm getting dry here. HMG coffee. Go to hmgcoffee.com. Get yours today. All right, next up we have
That wasn't subliminal.
No.
Subliminal.
Subliminal. Next up, MSEC Podcast. This is a great organization. I'm going to say this real quick. If you are active duty, Guard, Reserve, or you're a veteran and you have kids that are in the house of school age, follow Military Child Education Coalition. Go to militarychild.org. MSEC Podcast, that's their podcast. This week, understanding the diverse needs of military-connected families of color is crucial in creating a sense of belonging and
Mm.
welcoming. It's a welcoming environment. In this podcast, they're going to explore the unique perspective of a spouse and a mother from her personal experiences within the military community. So they're hoping to bring some awareness, and this was a great episode, and I think they definitely did bring a lot of awareness to it. Go check it out, MSEC Podcast. All right, a couple more, and then I'll get to the comments. Stay with me, folks. The Arms Room. mentioned them a little bit earlier in the show. This week, Joe from Vivient is in studio with us to discuss current security system trends and national concerns. Starting to see a theme here.
Yep.
Great show. You can catch the Arms Room show every Monday at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Go check them out, the Arms Room show. And if you're looking to do any type of training, go check out trainingaz.com or get a hold of the Arms Room show, and they'll set you up on training. It's great. Next up, Chasing Happiness, Mr. Ryan. This week, beyond the noise of finding truth in today's information overload. How true is that, right?
Definitely.
Break free from the herd. Learn the dangers of the sheep mentality. God, I love the way you put it that way.
Love that.
And how it stifles the innovation and personal growth. You're going to sharpen this episode. You're going to sharpen your critical thinking. Ryan provides practical tips on questioning the status quo and developing an analytical approach to information. This is an episode. This you have to listen to this, because especially if you're having trouble, like, oh, I'm believing because Oprah said it, blah 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 blah. You definitely need to listen to this episode and watch it. One of the other things you're going to learn in this episode: navigate the information overload. Right, and Rich mentioned it earlier. You looking at mainstream media, maybe you're just watching one channel, so you think it's the truth. Right, strategies to shift through the noise, identify credible sources, and exact valuable insights. This is a great episode. Check it out. Chasing Happiness. Loved it. I love this guy right here. The Joel Evans show. Joel is a community hero, as well as a former law enforcement coach now, and he does amazing stuff. This week, Jessica Hutchinson, who is a therapist specializing in grief, and how to help others navigate through it and actually heal from it. Believe it or not, though, there's no real help for those dealing with grief, as the average therapist is only taught 1 hour a block of this during their master's program. That blew my mind hearing that. Grief also doesn't have to be some big traumatic event. You might be surprised at how often grief seeps into our lives without us even knowing it, which makes it even harder to move forward. This was a mind-blowing episode this week. So you check it out, the Joel Evans show. It's titled The Hidden Truth About Grief.
Well, thank God they bring light to that, because grief is about any loss and can literally be any loss. It doesn't have a death.
Yeah. Last is certainly not least as far as shows go, and then I'm going to get to the comments here, folks. We got your 6 at 6 with the People's Patriot Project. Big Mark Peterson was on earlier. I'm sure he's in class right now. This was I like this show. They do a couple different shows throughout the week. People's Patriot Project, nonprofit organization. Their show, We Got Your 6 at 6, every Sunday night, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on their Facebook page. They do like a round table. They get artists from the veteran community who are music artists, and they come on in and they highlight their music. They talk shop a little bit and whatnot. It's a great show. Check it out. We Got Your 6 at 6. I want to give a few shout outs real quick. Shay, it's that time of year, right, where we are. It's tax season, right? It's tax season. We deal with the best in the business. I think personally, I might be biased, but my man Anthony over at mytaxfella.com, if you're having trouble getting your taxes done, or you're a business and you need help with your taxes, go to mytaxfella.com, set up an appointment today. I also want to give a shout out to the Freedom People. Those of you out there, if you don't have a living trust, get one. I'm going to tell you, like, this particular organization here, if you want to get off the matrix, another great source. Get a hold of these guys and they will help you do just that. Check them out, the Freedom People. Go to freedompeople.org. Some other sponsors I'd like to highlight real quick. OpLens, another media organization that we do some work with. So appreciate you guys. JB Auto Clothiers, I got to give a shout out to Yeah, right. I mean, this is bam. Yeah, that's what we do. Veteran owned, American made. I'm going to be doing suit ups right now in the Pennsylvania, Jersey, New York, and Maryland areas for the next 3 months. So the next 90 days, if you're looking to get a suit or you just want a sport coat, I got my suit jacket on today. Usually I got a sport coat on. Suit, jacket. We do custom shirts. We got custom ties. Um, hit us up, jboutofclothiers.com. Alibi Tattoo. You got some ink you want done? Get a hold of Alibi Tattoo. They're here in Pelham, Pennsylvania. Or maybe you got that one that you're just like, I need to get rid of that. They can do tattoo removal as well. Forget Genetics, veteran-owned company. If you're a hunter, you need to have this in your woods. Go check them out, forgetgenetics.com. If you use promo code HERO or HMG, they're going to give you 10% off at checkout. Motorcycle Safety Lawyers. Come on. If you're riding a motorcycle, these guys need to be on your speed dial. Go check them out, Motorcycle Safety Lawyers. Got a Whole Brewing over in Eureka Springs. It's my friend Wendy and her husband. Great people. I love them to death. Eureka Springs, Arkansas. If you're down in that area, go check them out. Home Studio. Yeah. Good dude. Love them. He's helped me with this setup. Great stuff. Go check him out. And then, of course, Feed the People, Buy the People. Jim Neary's Live Bait and Tackle, Warriors on the Water LTD, Sisu Stamina. You can go to Universal Learning Approach. I take these every day around 1 o'clock. It helps me get through the rest of the day. It literally gets me wired in the afternoon. It's a great pick me up. Use Heroes 10 for promo code to get 10% off there. Let's go back to the comments here real quick as we're starting to wrap up. What do we got here? Yes, on non-CBD. Rich. So Misfit Nation, 3 lives per week plus 2 releases. The guy is a machine. Ken says, let's talk free. Ken, are you still on right now? I want to bring up the coffee situation real quick. I knew somebody was going to call me out. 2 people have called me out on it, and it's the same 2 knuckleheads that always call me out on the coffee. So HMG, and that's actually, that was one of our other sponsors that I didn't mention. Shame on you, Adam. HMG Beverage. If you go to hmgbeverage.com or hmgcoffee.com, here's what we got. We got 2 new decafs that are out. One is called Be Still. I'm just waiting for the labels to come in. The Be Still will complete our Heroes line. We have another one, but I don't know what to call it.
Oh.
So I'm putting this out there. And Ken, I see you on. So since you're out there, and ask the missus because I know she likes the decaf. What should we name a decaf? Think about it. Shoot me a text, DM us. And if we pick I'm going to run this until beginning of March. We'll say till the end of February. So we got what, another week or 2?
Yeah.
Roughly. I'm going to run this till the end of February, and I'll post this later on. Help us create a name for a decaf coffee for HMG.
Nice.
Send us an email, DM us your ideas, and if you win, I'm going to give you 2 pounds of that decaf coffee with your label on it once it gets approved.
Can't pass that up. That's awesome.
Ken is not. Ken's like me. We're not really decaf drinkers, so you call it dirt water. That's actually a funny name.
What's the purpose of decaf anyway? I don't know.
It's just colored water. Let's be
right.
So anyway, listen, that's all that we're well over time. Shay, let me say this real quick. Thank you very much. Thank you for being on the show this morning. Great episode this week with the Shay Sparks show. You're doing a fantastic job. Certainly appreciate your friendship and being a part of the network. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. This has been fun.
Absolutely. All the rest of you heathens out there, let me remind you, think for yourself. All right. Put the phone down, get away from the computer this weekend, get outside no matter where you are. And shut the internet off for a little bit. All right. That's all I got. We'll see you guys next week. God bless you. God bless America. I love you all. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.